Today on the Tech Bytes podcast, we talk about how to get more out of your NetFlow records with sponsor NetFlow Logic. Now, NetFlow's been around for a long time, and if you're already including flow records as part of your monitoring or management arsenal, you may think you're extracting all the value you can. But NetFlow Logic is here to make the case that its product, NetFlow Optimizer, will surprise you with how much more gold there is to be mined from those flows. Our guests are Sasha Velednitsky, co-founder of NetFlow Logic, and Bill Friedman, president. Sasha and Bill, welcome to the podcast. And Bill, if you could just give us a brief overview of NetFlow Logic, the company.
Sure. We founded the company in 2011, brought NetFlow Optimizer to market in 2013 with a view to handling very large volumes for medium and large customers, people with big networks, big data centers. So we've tested the product at 1 million records per second successfully without loss of messages. And we have one customer that uses it to process 500,000 records per second.
That's great. So let's move into the tool then, NetFlow Optimizer itself, the product. Sasha, can you give us an overview of what it does?
NetFlow Optimizer was designed to process network metadata. And the key differentiation between what we do and similar technologies is that we decided that NetFlow by itself is not as valuable as when it's integrated with other machine data collected in different systems. So NetFlow Optimizer crunches NetFlow and SNMP, and it feeds this data to different SIMs and monitoring systems like Splunk, Sumo Logic, Exabeam, and so on. So it's not a NetFlow collector, it's a NetFlow processing engine.
Okay, so Sasha, you said NetFlow. And when I first met you guys, I was thinking, what magic is there in NetFlow records? Come on. I mean, I've been doing NetFlow stuff for years with collectors. And as you pointed out, you guys are not a collector. But I'm thinking like top talkers, applications, what else is there to get out of NetFlow? But that's the point of your product. You're taking NetFlow records and then adding metadata to it as you process them and then pass that enriched NetFlow record information off to other platforms. Can you give us an example of some of how you enrich the flow records to make them more interesting?
Sure. So basically, our product does three things. It's volume reduction, we're going to talk about it later, enrichment, and then integration with various systems. So to answer your question on enrichment, as the audience knows, NetFlow is basically the source IP, destination IP, protocol bytes, packets. So nowadays, naked IP addresses are pretty much meaningless. The context need to be added to make it useful. And what we do with NetFlow, before we send it out to different monitoring systems, we add context to network conversations, such as user identity. We have integration with Active Directory, Okta, Microsoft Entra, and so on. We add applications and geo-IP location. We also have integration with various threat lists, where we would add reputation to information. This is very helpful for security investigations and so on. In virtualized environment, we have integration with VMware vCenter. We would add virtual machine. And even when we process Cloudflow logs, we would enrich Cloudflow logs with information which is not natively available. For example, in Amazon, the VPC flow logs do not have EC2 names. So when we process those, we would add EC2 name.
So you're saying with enrichment, you're saving me or the analyst or the analysis system some steps. You're providing context that I would otherwise have to go find out myself to associate to a set of flows.
Exactly, right. So we would add a context. And also, a lot of systems are doing enrichment at query time. They would basically collect flows. And then when they go and run queries, they would bind IP addresses to whatever static databases they have. We do enrichment in real time when we process records, and we bind this context before we send it to Splunk, for example. So the information is very accurate, and it really saves MTTR.
Mean time to resolution, yeah.
Now, another thing you mentioned was volume reduction. What volume of flow records, or what kind of volume reduction are we talking about?
Yeah, NetFlow by definition is very voluminous because it reports every network conversation. Nowadays, modern devices may generate tens of thousands or sometimes even hundreds of thousands of tiny binary flow records per second. And ingesting this volume is not really practical. It's cost prohibitive. It slows down performance on these systems. It could be very costly. So we implement what we call intelligent consolidation, where we would look at similar flow records and we would combine them. So the same flow records that we see within a relatively short period of time between the same source and destination on the same ports are combined into a single event.
So it's almost like a dedupe function.
It's not dedupe. Dedupe is when we do deduplication as well. Dedupe is when network flow traverses through a number of network devices like firewall, router, switch, and so on. And all devices are basically reporting the same flow. So
Okay.
deduping is elimination of some of the devices because some customers are interested just on the fact that there was communication between two endpoints. They don't really care which device reported it. So this gives some volume reduction. When we do consolidation, it's not really deduping, it's basically aggregation. Another thing we do that gives a pretty sizable additional volume reduction, we have a way to ignore ephemeral client ports that are typically above 50,000, but we have a different way of ignoring them. And that's very important because nowadays the laptop going to a website or Amazon establishes dozens, sometimes hundreds of connections, simultaneous connections. And all these connections are separate flows. And each of them have the same destination port, the 443, but different client ports. Client ports carry no meaningful information. So we have a way to basically ignore them and combine all these flows, summarizing bytes and packets. So no valuable information is lost, but the volume reduction that is achieved could be 90% or even more.
Now, the volume reduction and the way you're doing it, this is a big deal in that for folks that are struggling with their budgets and looking for a way to justify the purchase of a tool like NetFlow Optimizer, that's it. I mean, the volume reduction there could be an ROI in and of itself because of just because of that volume reduction and the reduced cost of spend for other tools. Is that fair?
Yeah, absolutely.
Bill mentioned, network monitoring, troubleshooting, security investigation. Are those the kinds of use cases you're seeing customers turn to NetFlow Optimizer?
So in a lot of customers in the area of security, they deploy intrusion detection, monitoring north-south traffic. But a lot of our customers are interested to see lateral traffic, what's happening within their network. And are there any threats or potential threats that could be identified by monitoring lateral traffic? And one of the use cases is data exfiltration. So if somebody is monitoring network traffic on the edge, they may see the data leaving their network, but they don't see what preceded this event. And by monitoring lateral traffic and see unusual high volumes of data coming within organization, let's say somebody downloads data to a laptop before it pushes it out, we can actually prevent data exfiltration.
And lateral movement itself, I think, is a concern for organizations, depending on how they may have segmented their network. An attacker could, or a malicious actor could be moving through the network without ever hitting like a firewall or some other security enforcement point. But you could see it potentially.
Right. So yeah, lateral traffic is very important. Customers, by running different machine learning algorithms, can detect unusual attempts because we enrich flow data with user identity. They may see a user going to certain areas of their network where they are not supposed to be, and that's another use case to monitor user behavior.
Now, you've mentioned Splunk integration with some other tools. How does that work? Is there actually a formal integration? Am I just writing records in a Splunk-friendly format from NetFlow Optimizer? How does that work?
Yeah, if we talk about integration with Splunk, we've been a Splunk technology partner for many, many years. We send data to Splunk in either syslog, key value pairs, or JSON. And we also support OpenTelemetry. So there are all sorts of options. And then when the data is indexed in Splunk, we have applications in Splunk Marketplace for visualization and alerting. And also the data, we send it in Splunk Common Information Model format. So the fields, the NetFlow fields, are compliant with Splunk standards, and it could be easily correlated with other machine data that is collected in Splunk.
We have a number of visualization platforms and SIMs to which we can export our data.
Yeah, we export data in standard formats. I mentioned syslog. We make it key value pairs for easy parsing. JSON, obviously. We support OpenTelemetry output, metrics, and logs. And so practically any system on the market is capable of ingesting one or all of the above. So the integration with systems is really, really easy. It takes practically no time to configure it.
So we have customers who export, for example, to Sumo Logic.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And you also mentioned you've got applications already written that I can just run in Splunk as opposed to having to do it myself or write rules for Splunk to analyze the flow records you're sending?
Right. So applications in Splunk was developed around data that we provide. Most of our customers use these applications out of the box. Some customers modify dashboards because to fit their specific needs. Our integration with Sumo Logic also includes an application in Sumo Logic Marketplace. I know that some of our customers use NetFlow data to send it to Microsoft Sentinel, and they can develop their own dashboards there or just use NetFlow data for forensic investigations, for example.
So you mentioned you can do volume reduction. You touted that as a benefit, but I think one of the issues that has come up with, flow records, if you just are sampling, there are events, whether, troubleshooting events or security events you could miss if depending on your sampling rate. So how are you balancing, volume reduction versus, wanting to beware of potential missed information from sampling?
So sampling is typically implemented on network devices, especially switches, where reporting full flows are competing with network device
traffic.
resources.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So there is nothing we can do about sampling. If somebody decides to send sampled flows to us, that's all we get. However, a lot of our customers, once they learn about volume reduction, we can reduce it by 90% or more. They choose not to sample data and take advantage of volume reduction and at the same time get complete visibility without missing any low and slow attacks.
Because why would you at that point? I can just send a full, not unsampled, not sampled, a full, complete export of NetFlow records to NetFlow Optimizer. You'll deal with the volume reduction that I might have been worried about before, and I still have full granularity, you're saying, because of the way you're doing the volume reduction. There's no loss of insight into any data. I'm not going to miss those low and slow attacks, as you're saying. So that's the way I should be doing it if I'm implementing NetFlow Optimizer. Ideally, I'm going to send you everything.
Right. So the way NetFlow Optimizer was designed, it comes out with a lot of what we call logic modules that do different things with flow records, different type of enrichment, different type of consolidation. And at the same time, there's an option to send full fidelity, we call it full fidelity data, to a chip storage, which basically a stream of original flow records still converted to JSON or syslog, so it could be easily ingested in Amazon S3, for example, for future forensic investigations. So the customers who take advantage of volume reduction could always go back and see what was the original full fidelity flow that resulted in what they see in Splunk. They can go back to Amazon and see what was the original flow data.
Hey, Sasha, early on, I think you mentioned something about SNMP data, because we've been talking about flow data this whole time, but you can ingest SNMP data and do something with that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Another type of data we process is obviously SNMP traps, and also we do SNMP polling. We recently introduced auto discovery, where customers can scan their network. Our auto discovery not only discovers devices that reply to SNMP polling, but it also we give them an option to classify these devices based on different SNMP fields like vendor identity or create what we call device groups. Then for SNMP polling, we developed a graphical user interface where customers can build what we call OID sets, basically going through SNMP tree and pointing and clicking on specific SNMP elements, building what exactly they want to do polling. They assign a polling interval, 60 seconds, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever they need, and they can assign this OID set to a device group. So our product will be polling Juniper devices with Juniper OIDs and Cisco devices with Cisco OIDs, for example. And our customers use SNMP polling to monitor CPU utilization, memory utilization, disk space, temperature in the data centers. We recently have a customer who uses to monitor power supplies, what was the time to recharge or something like that.
So are folks able to test the product or get a demo? And if so, where would they go for that?
Yeah, we provide a 60-day trial license, fully supported, fully functional. So they can go to our website, netflowlogic.com, and there's a button, Start Free Trial.
Okay, so I could go to netflowlogic.com, hit the free trial button, and get a 60-day trial.
Can verify, Drew. It that works exactly like that. I did that as we were getting to know NetFlow Logic. I did it myself.
And there's also a demo option?
Absolutely, yeah. We have a request a demo button. We can schedule a demo and discuss it before customer wants to try our product. We'll show the capabilities.
Well, one more time, if you want to get a demo or try the product for yourself, just go to netflowlogic.com. Thank you, Sasha and Bill, for joining us. And thanks to NetFlow Logic for being a sponsor. Sponsors ensure that Packet Pushers can continue to offer high quality, deeply technical content for your professional development for free. That includes a dozen podcasts on networking, cloud, security, IT strategy, and more, 2 newsletters, a YouTube channel, a Slack community, and even more. You can find it all at packetpushers.net. And as we say, too much networking would never be enough.